Analytics applied to Facebook Insights. Another short subject brought to you by educatevirtually.com. So let's get started with analytics applied to Facebook Insights. Our agenda. We're going to start with some questions that analytics can answer. Then we're going to talk about the Facebook Insight metrics, explain them, and then how to apply analytics using the Facebook metrics. So let's get started. Analytics will provide answers. Which of your posts has a positive impact, a negative impact, or you just can't tell in its relationship to the metrics like consumers, engagement, engaged users, reach, consumption, stories, engagement rate, and more. So how do you know if some of the things you've been doing, like the time of day you make a post, the frequency of your posting, the style of your content, the day of the week, Instagram feeds, photos, graphics, a video, a call to action, a live stream, join the newsletter, an infographic. What makes a difference? Well, with the analytics, you're going to be able to figure that out. So let's take a look at the performance metrics that we get with Insight Metrics from Facebook. Let's start with the first one, consumers. Consumers are the number of people who clicked on any of your posts, whether that click generated a story or not. We'll tell you what stories are in a minute. It is the most accurate metric for measuring post engagement. It tracks things like link clicks, photo views, video plays, and other clicks would include stories. So stories, updates from friends about their engagement with pages, people, etc. from your page that appear in their news feed. Alright, so stories identify how effective your brand posts are at building awareness for your page. Stories include things like likes on a page, engagement, posts on a page, joins, tagging, mentioning, check-ins, and other page interactions. Engagement. Engagement is likes plus comments plus shares. So that means that your brand is building awareness. It's the number one priority. Engage people with brand content. If users engage, then action appears in their timeline and it's visible to their friends. Engagement influences Facebook EdgeRank, which influences what of your content reaches which news feeds, and that drives reach. Engaged users, the number of people who engaged with your page. It includes any click or story. It measures your content performance and the quality of your audience. Reach, the number of unique, and that's important, people who have seen content associated with your page. It measures your brand's effective audience. It's not just fans. Important to know. It's the primary metric for message distribution and a powerful indicator for the tactic effectiveness that is enabling your brand to connect with Facebook users. So what are you doing? If you're getting the reach out there and your reach is growing, then your tactics are effective. The engagement rate. People who have liked, commented, shared, or clicked on your post divided by the people who saw your post, which is post reach. Okay, this can also be calculated if you don't have Insight Metrics, which would give you the information to calculate this. You can look at likes plus comments plus shares divided by total fans, and that's an equivalent metric to engagement rate. This measures what share of your audience engaged with your content. Impressions. The number of times content associated with your page is displayed. This is not unique. So this could be displayed multiple times in a single location. So there's different types of impressions. We've got organic and paid and viral. Organic is the number of times your content was displayed in a user's newsfeed, ticker, or on your page. Paid is the number of times your paid content was displayed, and viral, the number of times content associated with your page was displayed in a story published by a friend. Stories include a like, a comment, a share, answer, respond to an event. All right, so these are all things that can make it go viral. Consumptions. Clicks anywhere in your post, whether the click generates a story or not. This is your content performance metric. It's a very powerful metric, and when combined with impressions, consumptions divided by impressions, that is your click-through rate. Consumers divided by reach is the percent of people who saw and engaged with your content. Paid versus organic likes. Well, paid likes are the number of people that liked your page from an advertising or a sponsored story. Organic likes are just total likes, minus paid likes. Paid advertising affects engagement, reach, and impressions. So it's not a bad idea to be doing the paid advertising. Segmenting performance of the above metrics allows measuring Facebook advertising impact on your page. So if you can begin to look at your paid likes, that'll give you an idea of how effective your advertising is. Like sources, places where people can like your page. All right, so it gives you an understanding of how users are discovering and liking your page. There's 5 basic segments. There are dozens of sources that exist, but there's 5 basic segments that are going to be grouped for you in Insight Metrics. On your page, page suggestions, ads and sponsored stories, your posts, and others. All right, so this is going to answer the question how digital marketing components impact fan growth. Now PTAT, this is a Facebook metric that they're moving away from this metric, but PTAT was the one that everyone was looking at before. People talking about this, which, you know, Facebook is social media. So it's the number of unique people that created a story about your page or on your page. PTAT is a trailing 7-day metric, measuring how many people created stories that become items that display in your news feed. All right, but this is a metric that's going away. All right, so how are you going to apply analytics? Well, the first way that you can do it is reactive. Now, reactive analytics would include things like individual measurement charts, multivariate studies, analysis of variance, correlation, regression. So let's take a look at some examples. Now, these examples are for a specific fan page with a specific brand. So that may not be equivalent to what you would see with your particular brand. So you're going to have to do your analytics on your stuff. But we can take a look at an individual measurements chart comparing 2 different campaigns and see the percent saw and engaged by campaign. All right, so here's campaign 1. Campaign 2 is giving us a little bit of a bump. Engagement rate, we can track this over time. What does your engagement look like? And you can also associate this with what did you post on these particular days. A multivariate chart, taking a look at 2 different campaigns and did it matter which day of the week that the campaigns posted to the site. So you're looking at likes by campaign, likes by day per campaign, and we can see that Sunday had the most in campaign 1, not so much in campaign number 2, but that's what we're trying to figure out, which campaign is working, which one isn't. But clearly we can see that on average on Sundays we're having a little more interaction with our group of fans and also other interested parties in the audience we're trying to reach. All right, here's another multivariate, click-through rate, comparing the 2 different campaigns and looking at things like links, photos, status updates, and videos. These are different types of posts that we could have. Which ones are driving the click-through rate? Well, it looks like photos and videos are the ones that are having the biggest impact on click-through rate. We can also take a look at analysis of variance. Here we're taking a look at reach versus the campaign. All right, so we've got campaign 1 versus campaign 2. We're taking a look at that. You can see the distribution, and we can see that campaign 2 is beginning to move the total reach. Even though there's a lot more variability in it, there's also a lot less data in it to start with. We're comparing 54 data points to 29, but it's definitely moving in the right direction, and we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that yes, it does make a difference based on the analysis of variance. We could do a regression analysis where we take a look at different variables that we have, engaged users, total impressions. How does that influence daily reach? Well, we find out that there's a 93% correlation there. We know that these are not multicollinearity issues because we've studied the variance inflation factors, and we can get into that later. It's a very strong relationship. P-value is something very, 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 very small. And we can say that yes, this does make a difference. Engaged users and impressions do drive reach for this particular page. And what does that look like if we graph some of those? Well, here's engaged users versus reach. So as the engaged users went up, the reach went up. All right, and here's a take a look at daily impressions. As the impressions went up, the reach went up. So pretty good stuff. Okay, we can also take a look at our posts in general and do a Pareto on that to say which posts are actually having the most impact on consumers. And consumers means that we know that they're engaging. All right, so we can see that, and we've just given these some generic numbers, but if we take a look at our top 10, what's so significant about those versus all those other ones? So what we're trying to do here is separate the vital few from the trivial many. All right, another way to apply analytics is a proactive way, and that would be through design of experiments. Well, what do we mean by that? Well, let's take a look at an example. All right, so we have factors. Could be the day of the week, the time of the day, the type of graphic, a photo, what your video content is, your message content, a call to action. And you can test, 2 or 3 or 4 different levels, but let's just say weekdays versus weekends, the morning versus the afternoon, style A versus B, etc. And we set this up, all right, in our fan page, and then we can begin to look at the output measures of consumptions, consumers, engagement rate, click-through rate, percent of people who saw and engaged, and we can use the statistics to tell us of these factors which ones were significant and what were the best settings so that we can drive the reach, the engagement, the click-through rate, and the performance on your fan page. That's how you get your brand identity. So how are you going to get this all done? Well, you can learn those analytics methods at educatevirtually.com.